Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello and welcome to tonight's episode. It is Friday the 13th of March 2026 and congratulations, we have made it through another week. It has been super cold this week. I've been really struggling with the temperature actually. We haven't had much sunshine and we haven't had much rain where I am, but we've had a really icy wind all week, which has just cut through absolutely everything. Yeah, really not very nice at all. It's probably slowed down the growing of quite a few things actually. I've had some good luck in the greenhouse. Some of my seeds that I sowed last week have germinated. Well, the ones on the heat mat have germinated, and I only have one heat mat, but dreaming now of buying a lot more. So my agrostemma is up, status, scabious, and something else which I can't remember, but I have written that down. So it's musical seed trays at the moment. As soon as everything has germinated and the little seeds are up, they come off the heat mat and they just go onto the racks. And then whatever hasn't germinated yet goes on the heat rack. Now, what I have noticed is that the soil blocks have been drying out quite quickly, the ones on the heat mat anyway. So I've been having to water those at least, well, every other day at least. I'm still trying to get back into the groove of going out every single morning to check on everybody. I'll get the hang of it soon, but it's been, a year since I've been out there checking everybody. And some mornings I'm just about ready to go off for the day and I think, oh my goodness, I haven't been to see how everybody's doing. But it's very exciting and I'm just very glad that they've germinated. Clearly, the heat mat was a fantastic idea. I bought mine last year in my local garden centre and it was knocked down from £34 to £17.50. And I didn't mind paying that. And it's absolutely brilliant. I love it. I'm quite thinking about getting one just for inside the house, just to sit on in the evening, to be honest. It's just a lovely, gentle, calm heat. And clearly the seedlings are loving it. I've just got off the phone. I've been on the phone for nearly an hour with a fellow grower in the UK who was on my six-figure flower farming course that I did with Jenny Marks in November, December last year. And we had a wonderful hour just talking about what's going on our respective fields and just having a giggle over stuff and what we were sowing and growing and disasters and flooding and water and all of the things that you could just talk to another grower about for hours and hours on end. We had to stop eventually because I think we just carried on. But we're going to catch up later this year. So that's really nice. She's fantastic. So that was really, really good. Now, in the last episode on Tuesday, I told you that I'd had a question from one of my listeners about my website. Was it easy to set up and who is the provider of it? So I thought I would talk about that this evening in case it's of any interest to you. Now, I've only just built my website for the cut flowers. I did it over Christmas somehow. I don't even know how I had the time to do that, but I built that over Christmas and I did want one all of last year, but I held off because I know I didn't actually need one. But this year I am definitely going to use it a lot. So it was something that I wanted to do. And everything I learned on the course as well, that has fed into the website. Now it is very far from perfect and it's not going to be the most jaw-dropping website you've ever seen, but I think it does exactly what I wanted it to do. It is very, very simple. There are only 6 pages: home, about, florists, flowers, podcast, and contact. And there's also a link to my Instagram. And I have a testimonial on there that I asked my wedding event florist that I did most of my selling to last year if she would send me a little quote. And she did. And I actually split it in two. So there's part one on the homepage and there's another part on another page. And that was very, very kind of her. And I do think testimonials are helpful. I know there's lots of cynicism around these days. And sometimes I look at testimonials and think, oh, I bet somebody in their own office wrote that. But I think if you can get a testimonial from a client or a customer, I do think it has value. I really, really do. Now, the question was it easy to set up? Now, I'll be honest with you, yes, it was. It was easy for me to set up mine because I have made quite a few over the years, not professionally or anything like that, but I've had my one for the gardening up for years, and I've made a few others at various times. In fact, when my ducks got stolen, I made a website the same weekend in order to desperately to try and get them back. Um, and yeah, so anyway, I digress. The point is, I have made them before, and so I find them quite straightforward. But I do think if you haven't made a website in about 20 years, things have changed dramatically. You don't need to know any coding. It's really not that complicated. There are lots of templates and it's really quite straightforward. They've also now started to include AI in it. So you can actually tell the AI what you want and they'll just go off and do it. So if you haven't looked at it for years, don't be put off thinking that building a website was how it used to be 20 years ago, because it's not. And I would say if you are a small grower or you're on a really tight budget, you can 100% do it yourself. Like, you don't need to outsource it to a marketing or a website company. I mean, by all means, save up and do that if you want to. But I think if you just spent a few hours watching YouTube tutorials, you will get the hang of it pretty easily. But I realize I say that, but I don't know anything about you and what your IT skill level or your comfort zone doing this. But um, it's it's not as difficult as you might think it is. Now, I use Wix as my provider, Wix, and I have always used them, and I find them very, very straightforward to use. And you basically set up an account, you log in, and then you pay a hosting fee per month. I think mine is about £14 per month, which includes all the taxes and the VAT or whatever else they put onto it. And they take that payment monthly. Now, I think you can pay for a whole year in advance and you make a saving, but I don't like giving out large sums of money in one go. So I drip it over the course of the whole year. So yeah, so I make it on Wix and then Wix host it for me. Now, I always buy my domain names, which is the .co.uk or .com, from GoDaddy, which is the main place that you can buy your domains from. I could also buy one from within Wix, but all that happens is that they go off and buy it from GoDaddy, so you might as well go and do it yourself. I just prefer to kind of buy the domain from the people that actually are in charge of all of them. And then I just feel like I have a little bit more control over the actual domain. Now, when I buy a domain, that's a separate thing. When I buy mine, whatever the name of the website I want it to be, I always buy the .com and the .co.uk, because there would be nothing worse than having one of those two and then somebody somewhere else in the world goes and buys the other one, and then you're going to be in a mess. So I always buy .co.uk and .com, and I know that there are lots of suffixes that you can have on the end, .something, .net, .tv, .store, whatever. So somebody could go and buy all of my website ones and then put a different ending on it. And you can't really get around that, because I couldn't afford to buy all of the different endings that there are in the world. And I don't think anybody does that, actually. But I think if you just have the .com and the .co.uk, and then you know you've got them, those ones you buy them and then you do need to renew them something like, some of them are every year, some of them are every 2 years. Um, and again, that just happens automatically. I set it up with my card details, and so it doesn't matter. I don't have to remember. It basically just gets taken. And nowadays they send you an email, I think, to say that they're going to take it, and then they take it so that you know. But it's obviously a good idea, and I have mine written down in a place so that I know where I bought them from and I know when they're going to renew, so I can make sure that they do actually keep renewing. On Wix, when it comes to actually making your website, there are absolutely masses of templates that you can use. So you do not have to start from scratch with a really intimidating white blank page. I have never done that. I'll go and find a template that I quite like the look of, and then I will just mess about with that template. So You could find one that's just got a color scheme that you like, with some fonts that you like and a layout that you like, and just literally tweak all of the little details to make it feel like your website. And you could spend hours messing around, but they have so many that I'm fairly sure you will be able to find something that you like and that suits you. Now, the most important things to me when I was doing my website is that it has a really, really clear purpose. Some websites you go on, and I don't mean from fellow growers, I mean just some websites for companies, you click on them and you have absolutely no idea what it actually is that they do. So for me, I wanted the homepage certainly to be absolutely explicitly clear about what I do. And my homepage says exactly what I sell and to whom. So there is no confusion if somebody pops on and goes, "Oh, I wonder if Hen Hill Cut Flowers does, um, you know, arrangements or wreaths or bouquets or whatever." No, it doesn't say that. It just sells, I sell wholesale flowers to wedding and event florists, and that's it. So if anybody else goes on, they might think, "Oh, well, she's not for me." And that would be fine because that is what I'm focusing on at the moment. There is, if the, I was going to say, there is a sort of, sometimes some of the websites I've looked at look a little bit confusing, but it's not necessarily that they're confusing. It's that the grower maybe sells lots of different products in lots of different places. So if you're somebody that is selling wholesale and selling retail and selling at a farm stand and going to farmers markets and doing home arrangements and doing, you could find that you have a website that just can look confusing. And I think personally, and this is only what I think, is very important to either focus on the main thing that you do and focus the website towards that and drive the other traffic somewhere else, or just, well, I don't know what the alternative would be. It's a bit hard. It's a bit silly thing for me to have started speculating about what other people should do for their websites. I'll take that back. I only know that my primary focus is selling wholesale to wedding and event florists. Now, you know that I'm thinking about branching out into doing market stalls, and I might have a stab at doing some bouquets and things myself, but I don't want to put that on my website because I want the website to be 100% focused on what I'm doing right now and who I'm selling to right now. And anything else is an extra. And I don't think it needs to go on there because I think for me, it will water down my main purpose. The second thing that was really important to me was to use great images. Now, Wix have a library of free stock images that you can use. They're very, very high quality. They look great. They've been configured to do whatever the website is doing. So if it's a standalone image, it'll just look beautiful. If it's like a whole image that stretches across the entire screen, it will be sized accordingly for that. Sometimes if you upload your own pictures to stretch right across the screen from left to right, you'll find it is horribly missized. All the pixels will go funny. It'll look very odd, but all the stock images that Wix have are all perfectly configured to do that. There's lots of availability. You can search for almost exactly what you want. And then you can also obviously upload your own images. So I've put all my own images on my flowers page. They are actually images from my field. I think the chickens actually feature in there as well. Um, but for like the other pages that aren't about the actual flowers that I use, I have used some stock images on there because, like I say, if I want an image that's going to stretch across the entire screen, my images just all go pixelated and horrible. Now, the third thing that I wanted it to be super easy to navigate. I think I have achieved this. I only have 6 pages, and they're all accessible from the header at the top. So you can see when you go onto the homepage, you can see all the 6 pages that are laid out, and you can jump straight into one of those pages. There are no subheadings, there's no other pages that you can get to. It is literally as simple as that. I also wanted to have an area on the site that gave visitors information about me, so it was personal. So there is an about page on there. There's a photo of me holding one of the cockerels. It's either lion or kung fu moli. and a huge bunch of dahlias. And I thought that photo kind of encapsulates exactly me and the flowers and the chickens and how all three of those things are linked. I managed to capture it all in that photo. And then I've put a quote in there, and it just gives a little bit of information about me for anybody that is wanting to know. The fifth thing is to make sure that the website is optimized for mobile phones. So this is really important because the statistics from my website, which is something else, I'll come back to that. The statistics for my website show that most people view my websites on their mobile phones rather than on a laptop or a tablet. So you might design the most amazing website on your laptop or computer that is sized perfectly for the laptop. And then you'll find that people are actually looking at it from their mobile phone, and it will look different on the mobile phone. So regardless of where you make your website, whether you use Wix or somebody else, there will be a button for optimizing it for mobile. And that just means that they just rejig how the entire website looks automatically without you having to do anything to make everything resized for mobile phones. But as you, the designer of that site, you need to make sure you click that button and check out what your phone will look like on the mobile. Because even though they do it for you automatically, sometimes buttons go in funny places. Text boxes move above or below the photos that you want. Sometimes the photos not aligned properly. You just need to go on and make sure that everything looks perfectly good for the phone. And make sure the images load properly as well. And the final thing is to make sure that it is easy for people to contact you from the website. And I think I've managed to do this on the contact page. Let me just quickly go on to have a look at that. Yeah. So on the contact page, I've listed all the different ways people can contact me. So I've put my number on there, I've got my email address on there, and I've said that I'm happy to receive direct messages on Instagram if they want. Because I know from bitter experience that some people don't like getting DMs. How are you supposed to know that if they don't tell you? You don't. So they just get cross with you. So I thought, well, I'll just make it really easy and tell everybody that I'm happy to have DMs on Instagram. So it's fine. And that is the main things, but some extra things is two more things. One is the statistics that I mentioned. So if you do decide to go ahead and get a website, once you've done it, there will be an analytics section. And don't avoid this because you think it's all going to be complicated and you won't understand it. It's very interesting to have a look at your analytics and see how many visitors you're getting, when they're visiting, where in the world they are. And you can also see how they move about your site, which will give you an idea of what they're thinking and how they're moving around and what's of interest to them. And that is very interesting, particularly if you do any promotions or anything, which I haven't for this website. But if you put any promotions up and you want to track exactly whether people are actually viewing that offer or that suggestion that you're making, you can do that in your analytics. The other thing not to avoid is the SEO, search engine optimization section. On Wix, it's very, very straightforward. They do make it very easy. Do make sure you do that, because one of the things for getting a website up and running early is that Google will have time to find it, and it puts all these sort of crawlers through the website and stuff. And then you start appearing in search engine results, which is great because if you want to get picked up by people typing in like fresh cut flowers near me or local British flowers near me or something, you need to have those keywords in your website somewhere, and you need to make sure that your website is SEO optimized. Again, there are masses of YouTube videos on how to do this. It is not beyond you at all. It's just, if it's not something you've ever done before, watch as many videos as you can and then give it a go. Like, it's not rocket science, you can do it, but if you've never done it before, it will be a bit awkward the first time that you try and do it, but honestly, you'll get the hang of it. It's fine. So the final recap is that my website, I wanted it to say very, very clearly, what do I do? Who is it for? And what do I want them to do? Now, I don't know that, well, I do know, I'll tell you, I do know that the website is going to stay as it is for now because I am confident that it is doing the job I wanted to do right now. I have got plans for how I want to sell my flowers through the website this year. So I will be making some changes to it because I'm currently working on a little project to be able to sell through the website. So it's not going to stay looking like this forever. But at the moment, it's doing it. And a couple of other things. Oh, yeah, here we are. I wrote these down on Post-it so I didn't forget to tell you. I do think, and this is a personal thing, that you need to be consistent. I need to be consistent with my branding throughout. So I have picked a font for my website and a style and a color that I will be using across the board at every touch point. Every time somebody has anything to do with me or my flowers, they're going to recognize the color scheme and the fonts. Now, the whole color scheme for my website came from my logo, which I did first. And the color that my logo is made out of, that is the color that most of the text on my website is made out of. It's like a bright sort of Barbie pink kind of color. And the font that I've used is the font that I want for this business. So every time I use a font anywhere, on business cards or labels or cards get given out with flowers or invoices, literally every single piece of material that goes in front of a client, the font is the same across the board. It's very important to have consistency with that branding. And if you're thinking, oh God, I really don't want to get into branding and blah blah blah, it's just at least just make everything the same font and the same color, and then you're 50% there. And also, the other thing that I wanted to do was make sure the website appealed to my target customer. So, my target customer is my wedding and event florist that I had last year. She is literally like my icon, and everything I do, I think about her. And in a non creepy, stalkery way, I think, what sort of colors does she like? What sort of woman is she? Is she going to like looking at this website? And I hope she is, because it's all been designed with her very, very firmly in mind. Getting the pitch right, making it look professional enough or posh enough, however you want to describe it, it needs to be matching your target customer. So you have to think about that as well. And yeah, as I say, everything I did, I made it with my wedding and event florist in mind. So that's everything on the website, and I hope you find it interesting, um, and that if you don't have one yet, you might think about doing one. Now, it is Friday, and you know what that means. Plant profile of the week is incoming, and this one this week is Achillea, which is the yarrow. This one was number 11 on my profitability list last year. It was an absolute trooper, and I planted it. It was just inside the gates to the plot. So it was one of the first things that you saw when you walked in. And it was a great big block of a pink mix Achillea, and it bloomed all summer long. It was absolutely gorgeous. Now, Achillea is a hardy perennial. It's about mid-height. It's got clusters of really, really tiny flowers on these nice sturdy stems. Flowers come in a range of colors, and the foliage, I particularly love the foliage. It's soft. It's sort of fern, like a soft fern, and absolutely perfect for bud vases. It reminds me a bit of fennel without smelling like fennel. Now, I bought my plants as plugs in all the way back in 2019 from J. Parker's, and they lingered in trays abandoned in various parts of my garden for 5 years until I actually managed to plant them on the plot in the ground in 2024 for my trial beds. And I had about 8 plugs that survived. I cannot even remember how many I bought, but I ended up with planting about 8. And they grew so astonishingly well in 2025 that I had to split them, dig them up, and move them because they were just way too much. And I wanted to put new baby perennials where they were. So I divided them and I now have about 32 plants. So they've shuffled off to a new area and they did so well last year. They're so good for growers because they are so highly productive. They literally just keep on producing. They just don't stop. I mean, they are obviously part of the family, the yarrow family. The yarrow being those like weeds, or not weeds, but they're wild plants and they're all over the place. The modern cultivars that we've got to buy from are not like the white yarrow that you see in the field, but they behave very, very similarly. Like they do not want to be wherever you've put them. They want to be an inch further, 2 inches further, 6 inches further. They want to keep moving, spreading, colonizing. These guys have got legs. They're just going for it. But the great thing is that you can just, if you keep an eye on them, you can divide them and move them into bigger areas as you need them, or you could sell them. They are just so productive. Long flowering season and so tough. I don't think I watered mine last year, and we had a drought all summer from about May till August and 4 heat waves. So they put up with any amount of wind. They put up with the most rubbish soil you can imagine whatsoever. And as I say, I don't think I even watered mine in 2025. They just absolutely got on with it. And they're perennials, so they will last for years as well. Florists like them because they are just the most perfect filler. They've got this lovely, light, airy look. And interestingly, the closer you get up and actually look at them, they are so pretty in detail. I think one day I didn't have my contact lenses in and I had my glasses on. And I went and looked at them and actually took my glasses off, and I could see them so perfectly because my contact lenses are for distance. And so they make it very hard for me to see things close up, which is why I've now got reading glasses. Um, anyway, I actually saw the tiny flowers without my lenses in, and they're absolutely exquisite. They're really gorgeous. Lovely strong stems, and they come in a whole range of colors now. So you can just find a color that suits you or buy like a collection. So I think I bought summer berries, which is just shades of pink. And I think I've got a white in there and then a really dark pink and then a couple of bits in between. And the colors are not bright, acidic, nasty colors. They're quite sort of dusty. I wouldn't say muted exactly, but kind of just a soft version of whatever color it is you're after. And I think terracotta is the mix for one that I want to get in the future because that sounds really, really lovely. Now, downsides to this plant. Well, apart from the fact that it spreads absolutely everywhere onto the path, into its neighbors, absolutely anywhere it can get. It's, I wouldn't say it's something that you can't get out easily, but it is a bit of a goer. It does need staking, or mine certainly needed staking last year, which I sort of did in a very string and road pin fashion. So I would like to give them something better this year because they definitely deserve it. And there was an awful lot of foliage. That could be because my soil is very high in nitrogen, quite rich, and they obviously just went to town on that. But that was very helpful because absolutely no weeds survived anywhere near them. I think they're just so busy colonizing underneath the surface that nobody else stood a chance. And they created this wonderful microclimate all of their own. They had this really dense foliage at the bottom. And even in the height of the summer, when I moved the foliage out of the way to see how they were getting on, the soil was just damp and moist and just gorgeous, gorgeous. I haven't had any pest or disease problems with them whatsoever. They've just been absolutely incredible. So I can highly recommend Achillea to you. And if you're on a tight budget, grab some packets of seed and sow them from seed. Really, really cheap way of doing it. So that is me for Friday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and that you will come back and join me for the next episode because you are always very welcome. All the best.